these gators around here, they'll put their nose just on a little hill or something and stay there. It looks like a potato floating. And boy, you bump that thing, they just come, when they come out of it, they come out chomping. They trying to chew you up. And you'll step on one of them or bump him or something like that when you going through that swamp. And when you wake him up, he goes to chewing. And he just, nothing but teeth and mouth. He just chomp, 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 trying to eat you.
Big Buck Registry's Deer Hunting Podcast, powered by Advanced Takedown Tree Stands, episode number 211. Bruce Mitchell, meat hunter, slick bucks, swamp people, and potato gators. Please support our sponsors as they make this show possible. Today's show is sponsored by Advanced Takedown Tree Stands, the Horny Buck Seed Company, Covert Scouting Cameras, and Morse's Sporting Goods. Big Buck Registry is a virtual museum of hunting stories. We preserve a piece of Americana by interviewing and recording hunters about their hunts and experiences from across the country. And who knows, maybe we'll learn a thing or two along the way that'll help us take our hunt to the next level.
Hi, this is Dan Infold from HuntandBeast.com. You're about to listen to one of my favorite podcasts, Big Buck Registry's Deer Hunting Podcast.
Hi, my name is Joe Donito. I'm one of the Adirondack trackers at adktrackers.com, and you're about to listen to my favorite podcast, Big Buck Registry.
This is Laura Zara from Naked and Afraid, and you're about to listen to my favorite podcast, Big Buck Registry.
Thanks for tuning in to the Big Buck Registry's Deer Hunting Podcast. I'd like to welcome all you fellow predators out there that are pushing play on your audio device and tuning in and looking for some really deep, hardcore deer hunting information and practices that we have collected here at Big Buck Registry Podcast Studios. For Dusty Phillips and Jim Keller, I'd like to welcome everybody to the show this week. Whether you're a first-time listener or a long-time listener, I'd like to invite you to go to iTunes and leave us a review and subscribe to the show if you like the content. If you are brand new, please check out our back catalog. And if you're a loyal listener, I'm so thankful that you tune in. We get a lot of downloads, and I know there are some diehard deer hunting fans out there listening to the show, and it means a lot to us. A couple of housekeeping notes. We are running the harness program, and we have a little problem. We have some harnesses, and we have a decent amount of people that want them. However, we're running a little tight on budget, and I need some help raising some money to mail these things out. They cost somewhere between $9 and $11 to mail them anywhere in the country, and we just don't have the budget to keep mailing these out. So we've realized that there are three spokes to this wheel. There are the people that need it, there are the people that have them, that will donate them, and we also need some money to mail them out. So if you could, please, if you have a couple extra bucks but you don't have a harness and you want to help out, go to bigbuckregistry.com/harness, and there'll be a website there where you can click on a PayPal link and donate to the harness program so we can collect some money to mail these things to the people that need them. That website page is a little hokey right now. We'll work on getting it developed, but it will explain what we're trying to do, and it does have a button and a link to the PayPal site where you can donate anything you want, whatever it is, $1, $10, $100, whatever you want. Granted, $100 goes a long way. That'll give us approximately 9 to 10 harnesses that we can mail out. So again, bigbuckregistry.com/harness. This week's guest is Bruce Mitchell. You've probably heard of Bruce Mitchell. He's one of the characters on Swamp People, and Bruce is a real guy. There's nothing fake about Bruce. That's his real life that you see there on TV. But he is quite a showman. And across from Lake Pontchartrain from New Orleans lies the town of Ammann, Louisiana. And tucked within the swamps of Ammann, you'll find Bruce Mitchell and his humble homestead. Bruce is one of the cast of Swamp People and entertains millions of viewers each year as he shares his nightly dinner preparation and adventures from his outdoor kitchen while sporting overalls and a Stars and Stripe bandana. Bruce is known as a gator man, but he's hunted everything that roams in the swamps of Louisiana, including what Bruce calls slick swamp bucks. Bruce lives a simple life. His favorite saying is, everybody gotta die, but not everybody gonna live. Bruce lives to live. And he shares his life frequently with the world of social media despite his incompatibility with computers. Bruce shares with us his life in the bayou, how he scouts for deer by boat, how he fills 4 freezers full of game meat, how he prefers scouting by spending time in a stand over game cameras, and how winter alligators can be mistaken for floating potatoes. So stay tuned with our interview with Bruce Mitchell. But before we turn there, let's turn to Jim Keller with the Deer News.
For the Big Buck Registry, this is Jim Keller with the Deer News. Meramec State Park employee dies after catching mysterious tick illness. This story was originally featured on the St. Louis Post-Dispatch website and is reported by Blythe Bernhard. Tamala Wilson died June 23rd from complications of the bourbon virus, which she likely caught from a tick bite at Meramec State Park where she worked. A week later, the State Department of Natural Resources announced the park was an area of interest in an investigation of a case of bourbon virus, and ticks were being collected for testing. The State Health Department confirmed the same day that a resident had contracted the virus, but did not mention the death. Bourbon virus was discovered in 2014 after a man living in Bourbon County in eastern Kansas came down with flu-like symptoms and later died after being bitten by ticks. The U.S. Center for Disease Control and Prevention tested his blood and confirmed the new virus. Since then, there have been only a handful of reported cases, including Wilson's. Wilson removed 2 ticks from her body a couple of weeks before she was admitted to Barnes Jewish Hospital on May 31st with a low white blood cell count. After testing for other tick-borne diseases was negative, her blood was sent to the CDC, which confirmed she had the bourbon virus. There is no treatment for the viral illness. Not enough is known about the bourbon virus to determine a typical course of illness, said Dr. Stephen Lawrence, an infectious disease specialist at Washington University, who is not involved in Wilson's care. The few people who have had confirmed cases of bourbon virus reported symptoms of fever, headache, body aches, rash, and fatigue. All of the patients were hospitalized, but it was unclear how many deaths have been attributed to the virus. Scientists have not definitely traced the virus to tick bites, although it is highly likely because of the patient's histories of tick bites and the virus's similarity to the HOTLINE virus discovered in Missouri in 2009. The 2 viruses are extremely rare and do not constitute a public health threat, Lawrence said. It will take several months to complete the investigation into tick-borne diseases at Meramec State Park, according to a state health official. The attention on bourbon virus is a good reminder for people to avoid tick bites and recognize the symptoms of tick-borne illness, and for doctors to consider the diseases among patients with flu-like symptoms this time of year. While most tick bites do not lead to infection, it's important to get ticks off the body quickly. An infection can occur if the tick is attached on the skin for 24 hours or longer. Court rules Great Lakes wolves will deserve protection under the Endangered Species Act. This story was originally featured on the National Deer Alliance website. On Tuesday, August 1st, the United States Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit upheld a lower court's 2014 ruling that the gray wolf was improperly removed from the federal protection under the Endangered Species Act, that is ESA, of 1973 by the United States Fish and Wildlife Service, the FWS. The gray wolf was declared an endangered species in 1974, and in 2011, after rebound in numbers, a subpopulation of gray wolves inhabiting all or portions of 9 states in the western Great Lakes region of the United States was removed from federal protection, the court opinion notes. After the removal in 2011, the Humane Society of the United States, the HSUS, filed suit alleging that the rule which removed the western Great Lakes subpopulation from ESA protection violated the ESA and Administrative Procedure Act. In 2014, a U.S. District Court determined that until the apex predators were deemed recovered throughout their entire historic range, which means from New York City to San Francisco, they would not be delisted, the Sportsmen's Alliance reported. The Circuit Court agreed with HSUS and the District Court that the government failed to reasonably analyze or consider 2 significant aspects of the rule, the impacts of partial delisting and of historical range loss on the already listed species. However, the Circuit Court agreed with the Sportsmen's Alliance and other pro-hunting groups that the FWS has the ability to list and, as in this case, delist a species at the distinct population segment level, according to the Sportsmen's Alliance. The National Deer Alliance outlines predator management as one of the organization's key focus areas. It's a priority not because we don't appreciate predators and the role they play in wildlife management. Rather, we understand that careful management of predator populations is for the greater good of all wildlife and people. The ESA was designed to protect populations until they no longer needed to be protected, and the western Great Lakes subpopulation of gray wolves no longer needs protection. That should be celebrated, not met with resistance. Our state wildlife agencies are more than capable of managing gray wolves, and regulated hunting and trapping of recovered subpopulations may be necessary. Otherwise, deer and other prey populations may suffer. 10 white-tailed deer facts most hunters don't know. This story was originally featured on the Wide Open Spaces website and was posted by Justin Hoffman. The world of the white-tailed deer is an intricate and interesting one. Here are 10 fascinating facts that might surprise you. Number 1. A newborn fawn can stand in 20 minutes, walk in 1 hour, run a bit in 24 hours, and outrun a man in 5 days. Number 2. The hollow winter hair of the deer's coat provides excellent insulation, preventing loss of body heat while also keeping the snow from melting. Number 3. On average, a deer needs to eat about 8 pounds of vegetation per 100 pounds of body weight per day. Number 4. Over most of the year, whitetails remain bedded 60 to 70% of the time, usually feeding 5 times every 24 hours. Deer can defecate while bedded, but need to stand up to urinate. Number 5. Like a human, an adult deer has 32 teeth, but a deer has no upper teeth in the front of its mouth. The space is instead filled with a hard surface pad of gristle. Number 6. Large antlers result from 3 factors: nutritious food, increasing buck age, and good genes. The shape or configuration of the antlers is strictly genetic. Number 7. Chin whiskers tell deer exactly how far from the ground their lips are when feeding. Number 8. Adult buck antlers start to grow around the last of March or early April and grow at a rate of about a quarter inch per day. Younger bucks begin growing their antlers a little later, and theirs grow at a slower rate. Number 9. Sparring is an activity bucks partake in order to test one another for dominance, as well as develop the muscles and skills they need if they should actually have to fight during the breeding season. Sparring is also a reaffirmation of the status quo in each fraternal group and prevents actual fights from having to take place, which could cause severe injuries if not death. And number 10. During the rutting season, a buck will lose up to 25% of their body weight from the constant seeking and chasing of does. This information was compiled from the book Whitetail Savvy by Dr. Leonard Lee Rue III. And special thanks this week to Daniel Applebaum for his story contributions over the past few weeks. That concludes this week's edition of the Big Buck Registry's Deer News. For links to the stories featured this week, please check our show notes at www.bigbuckregistry.com. If you have any ideas for future topics or have any questions about any of these topics, please email me at jim@bigbuckregistry.com. For the Big Buck Registry, this is Jim Keller with the Deer News.
Well, thank you to Jim Keller with the Deer News. Without further ado, here is Bruce Mitchell. Bruce Mitchell, welcome to the Big Buck Registry's Deer Hunting Podcast. How are you, my friend?
I am doing great. Just got through eating, and I got a belly full of chicken and black-eyed peas and sweet potatoes, so I'm doing real good right now.
I was watching you on Facebook Live, so I knew what you had for dinner.
Oh, you knew? you and I don't know how many people, but that's something I've been doing here lately. I've been playing on Facebook a lot.
Yeah.
And
I recognize you as a Facebook Live kind of guy. It's fun to watch, and you just kind of sounds like you're just doing something you do every night anyway. And instead, you're
that's what we do, just stuff we like, and we talk to a lot of people on here. Just get their thoughts on that and trade recipes, and they tell me what they're cooking, and it's just one big family.
That's excellent. Do you consider yourself a vlogger? A vlogger is, of course, one of the terms that the young kids are using these days.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay. Excellent.
What is it? Let me tell you a little background about me.
Sure. Yeah.
Computers.
Okay.
I have no clue about computers. My daughters have set my computers up. Okay, they got it where I come in here. I hit one button.
Yeah.
Okay, everything pops up.
Yeah.
They got a picture and it says Facebook. I hit that. That's my Facebook. I got a picture that says Gmail.
Yeah.
I hit that. Well, I could do the Facebook a little bit. The Gmails and stuff, I don't know nothing about all that. I could just read them. But I just don't know nothing about computers at all.
It doesn't look like you need to, because you're doing a great job.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I was actually hoping, I work outside a lot. I love to work outside and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
As long as I'm doing something, I don't care what I'm doing. But I really thought I could get by life without using these computers.
Yeah.
Because to me, it's just so complicated. I think I can learn how to do brain surgery in about a week, but this computers, I probably will never catch on. Because every time you touch something or move something, it just goes in 1,000 different directions.
That's true. They are complex little machines, and supposedly they're supposed to help us with our lives and help us keep more organized, but I'm not sure it does that. It seems like it.
Yeah, but I had an ex-son-in-law, and he was a computer guy. Mm-hmm. And anyway, he was a computer guy, and he said everything could be done on a computer, and I begged, the difference. You can't, somebody got to put a seed in the ground. Whether it be a piece of corn or wood, somebody got to put the seed in the ground. Or they probably got computerized stuff to do it, but somebody got to put that corn in the ground. Right. Somebody got to push, right. Make it happen. That's what I believe. Right. And I just thought I could skip over computers, but my grandkids I got a 1-year-old grandbaby, and he grabbed that phone and gets to swiping and moving, and they do stuff I can't do on it. It's crazy.
My kids are the same way. I'm doing okay for a middle-aged guy, but my kids are light years in front of what I can do already. And and like I say, when we was coming up, we had one phone in the house, and it was a big deal. I've seen my daddy call long distance, to Baton Rouge, which is only 50 miles, talking to his sister. And we would all just stand around watching him like it was something, Right. And then you got a phone in your hand that you keep in your pocket that you can call anywhere in the world. Right.
And just stuff changes.
It seems like you've adapted as much as you needed to in order to bring your
that's
your
what
life.
I'm doing.
Yeah, you bring your life to us. It's great.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you. And that's what I like to do. I get up and I do this or that. I go fishing or set dead lines. And this year I'm probably going to bring some people deer hunt with me. I did last year a little bit, depending on where I had service, and I'm learning how to do this, as we go.
Right.
I'm learning,
Right.
And but a lot of times I have, 1.9 million people watching me.
Right. I know. You're a phenomenon. Yep.
Or cooking, or whatever we're doing, And I think it's just cool. And that's all my friends, on Facebook. I got piles of them.
That's excellent. So where do you call home? For the people that haven't watched you cook dinner or followed your life around the swamp, where is home, and is that where you grew up? Yeah, we grew up in Ponchatoula, Louisiana. And we actually live right now in Hammond. We have a Ponchatoula phone and a Hammond address. We're right on the line. And we're on the same place my wife grew up on. Same farm. Okay. And anyway, Ponchatoula is kind of our town. That's always been our town, Ponchatoula is it's an Indian name, and it means hanging hair. Oh, wow. That's for the Indians. Called hanging hair is what they're referring to as the moss on the oak trees. And that's how Ponchatoula got its name. Gotcha. Fascinating. Yep. So you grew up there. What was life like growing up? I was very lucky. I had a grandmother and grandpa live right next door to me, and that was the Mitchell grandma and grandpa. And on the other side of my house, I could throw a rock and hit my other grandmother and grandpa's house, and that was the Abear side. Well, the Abear side was farmers and hunters and trappers. And I kind of took more after that side with the hunting and trapping. My grandpa Abear did a lot of hunting and trapping. My grandpa Mitchell was a farmer, had a dairy, and did a lot of farming, strawberries and peppers and cattle, a little bit of everything. But I kind of went with I helped him a lot on the farm. I did a lot of farming, too, when I was coming up. But mainly I loved to go down that river. And my grandpa Abear and them lived down the river, and they trapped and hunted down the river all the time. And I just stayed with them most of the time coming up. Squirrel hunting, rabbit hunting, just whatever kind of. Deer hunting, everything. Did you have a favorite kind of hunting that you engaged in as a kid? The most favorite thing I want to say is when I was younger, I started hunting on my own when I was like 7. I got a shotgun when I was 6, but they wouldn't let me go alone until I was 7. My grandpa kind of trained me with a gun, how to use a gun. When I was 6 years old, 4, 5, and 6, I'd go hunting with them. We'd be rabbit hunting or squirrel hunting or deer hunting, whatever. So
soon as we got in the woods, he'd hand me a stick. Usually a stick about 3.5 foot long, something about like that.
Right.
He said, boy, this is your gun. So he'd give me that stick, and that stick would be my gun.
Okay.
You'd be walking through the woods, you know, and they'd stop, be talking or something. Well, all of a sudden, he'd take his hat off and crack me upside the head with that hat. And I said, what? He said, you pointed that gun at me. And
right.
So it didn't take long to figure out, don't point the stick toward Pawpaw, because he'd light you up. So, and that's how I was kind of taught to, you know, use firearms and respect them and all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. So he was training you for the real deal.
Oh, yes, he was definitely training me, training me to hunt and stuff. And I was always with him, running trout lines and everything else. But the hunting, we did lots of hunting, lots of hunting. And like I said, he'd give me that stick, and I had to carry that stick everywhere I went in the woods. And I had to watch where I put it. And if I set it down in the mud or something, he'd get on to me, watch what you're doing, boy. He said, you will get mud in that barrel, it'll explode. You know, that's what he told me, stuff like that. And, boy, you sure didn't point it at nobody. If you pointed that thing at somebody, he'd crack you upside. He'd take that hat, and he called it dusting your britches. He said, it kind of hit me on the butt a little bit with that hat and said, boy, I'll dust your britches, you do that again.
Gotcha.
But I can remember that to this day, you know. And we're talking, that was 50-something years ago. He always instilled in us, whatever we shot, we ate it. When I was about 7 years old, I had a big old woodpecker flying over. I said, watch, I'm going to shoot that woodpecker. And he kind of put his hand on the gun and put it down. He said, how you going to cook it? I said, I'm not eating no woodpecker. He said, well, if you're not going to eat it, you don't shoot it.
Right.
And that's always stuck with me. I'm very funny about shooting things. If I shoot something, I'm going to eat it. And as soon as I pull the trigger, you can ask anybody I'm with, the hunt is over. It's time to take care of the meat.
Right.
You know, that's just, I'm a meat hunter. I like to hunt for meat. I've shot some big racks, but, you know, I don't have to have a big rack if I'm not seeing a lot of deer.
Did you have any brothers and sisters growing up?
Yes, I had 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
Okay. And
but neither one of them, none of them hunt. Well, I got sisters that actually do a lot of fishing. They have camps down the river and stuff. They do lots of fishing.
Yeah.
But I'm the only hunter in the family. One of my brothers just didn't care for it, and my youngest brother, probably by the time I was, you know,
he was 9 when we got married.
He was 9 when we got married, so he didn't hunt unless I went and got him. I want to tell you a story about him.
Sure.
We had a camp in the swamp, way back in the swamp. Well, I was running my traps one day, and he had a little 410. And this camp was only 8 foot by 12, I think it was, and it had a 4x8 porch on it. Well, we had a duck hole in front of the camp. And anyway, I told him to stay on the porch. He could not leave the porch, because we like several miles back in the swamp, you know. And it's just like P-road runs on the way to it. You know, most people didn't know where this camp was. And anyway, I started running my traps, and he started shooting. Well, when I got back to the camp, he had killed 19 mallards. He had them piled up. So they was all in that duck pond. I had to go get them all out. And we stayed back there a week and a half. So I gutted all them ducks, and I wouldn't let him shoot. Well, he didn't have no more shells. He shot all the shells out. And that's all we ate the rest of that week was ducks.
No kidding. Okay.
Yep.
That's pretty funny. So,
and he was like 7 years old or 8 years old. I think he was 8, wasn't he, babe? 8 or no? He was married, so he had to be around 9 years old.
And is this a family lifestyle that your parents instilled in you, where you would go and forage off of the lands with the
off the land? Yeah, okay. we always had rabbits, squirrels. Mostly my grandparents. Yeah, you know, it was always meat. To me, it's just meat. We never asked what kind of meat. We ate a little bit of everything: turtle, alligator. I know Grandpa kept turtles in the shed. He would go in the barn. Yeah. He would dig down and throw sawdust in a hole. And I think he had wire on the bottom of the hole. I'm not sure. I think he had wire down there. But he'd dig a hole about 3 foot deep and put wire in the bottom and then put sawdust on top and mud and dirt. Where they catch snapping turtles during the summer months, and they'd throw them in that pit. And them turtles would dig their way down, and they'd bury up.
Yeah.
So so that way they had fresh meat all winter. You know, if they had trouble killing something, they'd just dig out a turtle. And,
no kidding.
you know, they kind of lived in the swamp down the river most of the time. So they had that. They would dig up the turtles or like potatoes. They used to grow the potatoes in the 5-gallon bucket, the old metal buckets.
Right. Okay.
Okay, we was down the river. They had a camp down the river, at a house down the river, and they would grow their potatoes in the buckets. They had like 15 or 20 buckets, and they'd get dirt from the house and bring it down the river in the swamp, and they'd put these buckets all around wherever the sun was shining, because we, you know, had lots of trees, so we had to move these buckets around so they'd get sun.
Yep.
But when the tops would die off, we'd take the 5-gallon buckets and put them under the camp, and it was a lot cooler there. But any time of year, you know, that we wanted potatoes, we had a sheet of tin. We'd get one of them buckets and dump it out, and you pull all the potatoes out, wash them off, put the dirt back in the bucket, put it back under the camp, and that's how we had the potatoes. Just a method of storing stuff, you know.
Right. Fascinating.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And, you know, it's just a way of life back then, the things they had to do just to have stuff to eat, you know. They would put like 4 chickens in a little bitty cage and bring them down there to the swamp. And, you know, then you had a fresh egg every day, you know.
A fresh egg, right. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So,
you know, turn the chickens loose in the daytime, let them peck around the house or the camp, and then put them up at night.
Right. What was the household like that you grew up in?
Well, we had 5 kids,
mm-hmm.
and we was the type of people, we was up at daylight running and going.
Okay.
We never stopped. We had a bunch of woods around us, and we call them, that's what we called it, the woods.
Okay. And
we'd hit the woods. We'd meet everybody in the woods. We had trails all in it. We built camps all back there. Everybody stayed in the woods. And then come hunting season, we'd hunt and we'd shoot birds, and I hate to say robins, but we used to eat a lot of robins.
Really?
That was just what we ate.
Fascinating. So, and the household that you stayed in, what was it like? Was it a simple place, or was it a complex place? Did it have? Oh
no, it's simple. My dad built the house. Actually, my daughter is living in it right now, and my dad built it about 50-something years ago. I'm 57. I was 5 or 6 when we moved in it. Yeah, we never had air or heat in the house.
Really? Okay. Didn't need it?
Never. Well, I wouldn't say that. But I thought several times we needed it. I never had air until I got married, air conditioning. But we would. They had a heater in the hallway, and Mama would get up in the morning and light that heater. There's a gas heater, and they'd leave it on about 30, 40 minutes, and then they'd cut it off. You know, and that was it. We just, you know, in the summertime, it was just hot. Matter of fact, my daughter moved in there 6 years ago, and every Christmas we go to different family members for Christmas. We have a big Christmas dinner at one of the family members.
Okay.
So my daughter moved in our old house, and all my brothers and sisters was, you know, excited about somebody being in the old house again. So everybody wanted to go to her house and eat. So we all got out there, all my brothers and sisters, and my daughter done put air conditioning and heat in the house. But when we would go in there, we just leave the doors open. And my daughter hollered, "Hey, shut the door. Why can't y'all shut the door?" I said, and we told her, like, you know, when we was coming up, it didn't make no difference. The door was open or shut, it was the same temperature. But, you know, she got air conditioning and stuff now. Crazy how it works.
Different lifestyle altogether.
Yeah, and my grandpa and them were, you know, even though they would live down the river, they'd come up, he would raise strawberries during strawberry season, and he'd be back and forth during strawberry season because he was trapping. But he had an old bathtub with a flow well in it in the back.
Yep.
And he always kept catfish in it. You know, there's always catfish. So anytime you wanted fish, you had them. You know, yeah, we always had something to eat. Always.
Gotcha.
You know, we pick mushrooms and pick blackberries and dewberries and make jellies and jams and all that. It was always something. Us kids, we'd picking corn or canning stuff with my grandma. It was just nonstop, always something. We never could get bored.
Sounds like a fascinating way to grow up. I mean, it's always something to do. You never get.
Well, we just thought everybody was like that, you know.
Right.
And we was lucky, like I said, we had grandparents on each side, and we went and seen our grandparents every day. And we always had people to play with because there was 5 of us. And we had neighbors down the road and stuff like that. But we did a lot of squirrel hunting and stuff. And like, I love squirrel hunting. I haven't done it in years. Done a little bit last year, not too much, but a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I used to save all my squirrel tails. And, you know, I'm talking about we'd kill 150, 200 squirrels a year.
Yep.
And or more most of the time. But I'd save them squirrel tails. I'd skin them out and salt them down. And we usually have bets the first week, and second week, and third week of squirrel season. Our squirrel season always opened the first Saturday in October.
Okay. And
when the squirrel season would open, all our kids around the house and up and down our road, we'd always have a bet. Well, I'd go back there about a week before squirrel season, and I'd take all them squirrel tails, and anywhere I seen a hollow in a tree, I'd take a thumbtack and stick that squirrel tail in that hollow coming out that tree.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, we always had bets. Well, most of them boys would be sitting there waiting on that squirrel to come out that hollow, and I'd be up and down all over chasing them squirrels and shooting them. And they finally caught me after, I guess I was probably 17 years old when they finally caught me. But it was crazy. We used to do stuff like that.
Right.
Or I'd kill a deer in the swamp, and I'd take the front legs, and I'd straighten them out and dry them. Once I got them dry, and I'd open the hoofs up on it with a piece of stick or something like that.
Yeah.
Or then I'd tie them on like mop handles or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'd go up and down that canal bank in the back. The first day of hunting season, day 4 hunting season, I go back there and just put tracks all around there. And I tell them boys I seen a big old deer. Well, they'd be back to deer hunting instead of squirrel hunting. So I tear them up.
So, sounds like you had some strategies going on there, Bruce.
Oh, yeah, you had to.
What? So it sounds like you're describing a very country lifestyle. And
real country.
Yeah, you lived off the land. You lived off of the game that was around your place where you lived, and you grew your own vegetables. It sounds like in some capacity.
Yeah, a lot of it was next door to my grandmother. Now my dad, on the other hand, he didn't want nothing to do with growing nothing or hunting. My dad didn't hunt. He didn't fish. He tried to take me a few times, stuff like that. But my dad worked at DuPont.
Okay.
A big chemical company. I think it's in reserve. He was there 35, 40 years. But he didn't hunt. He didn't fish. He didn't do nothing like that. So my grandpa's taught me all that. My dad said as long as DuPont was around, he wouldn't grow nothing or have no cows or no gardens or nothing. Because, you see, when he was coming up, that's what he had to do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
They had to do that or they didn't eat.
Right.
And he said as long as he had a good job, he said there would be no gardens on his place. And we never did farm nothing on our place.
Okay.
And next door we farmed plenty at my grandma's. So they kind of taught me how to cook and or hunt animals, trap animals, and raise gardens and stuff like that. But as far as my dad, he didn't want nothing to do with that.
Gotcha. Do you recall the first time you kind of got out of the country and went into what was, I guess, a bigger city? Do you remember that aspect?
Yeah, we would go to Baton Rouge once a year.
Okay, so that was the big city we would go to.
Yeah, we would go to Baton Rouge just to buy school clothes.
Okay.
Once a year, and this was a all day deal, pack a lunch, and that's just what you did back then.
Huh.
You get up early in the morning about daylight. Mama would be cooking something and packing a lunch for us, and we'd ride to Baton Rouge and buy all our school clothes, and then we'd come back that night. It was you don't think nothing of it, but that's just what we used to do.
Right.
If you went somewhere like that, you packed a lunch. I don't know. It's funny how it is. Now you don't think nothing. Me and my wife would jump in the car and drive 90-something miles just to go eat supper and then come back.
Right. Yeah.
But, we don't think nothing about that.
Right.
But
or jumping on a plane to Las Vegas, for example.
Oh yeah. Jump on a plane, you're there that evening.
Right.
But when we was kids, that just didn't happen. We didn't. We didn't. When I was coming up, it used to be just mainly one car to the household, and the daddy would leave early in the morning, and that was it. Now on our road we lived on, there was only 2 cars down the whole road. And Brown Road's probably 3 miles, 4 miles long, and there was only 2 cars down the whole road. It just wasn't a lot of cars and stuff back then,
Right.
If something happened to somebody, you'd have to run down the road to get somebody to bring you to the doctor or whatever. It's just, and after 7 o'clock, the dogs would lay on the road in the wintertime because when we finally got a asphalt road, at once it was dirt roads, and then they finally put concrete or asphalt on it. Well, when they put that asphalt, it'd get hot. The black would get hot, and the dogs and stuff would lay out on the road all day until about 4 o'clock that evening. The men would start coming in, and you see the dogs get up and start walking around.
That's so
but
funny.
buddy, you been out there on that road now, you'll get your butt run over.
Right. It's an interesting visual. It's crazy. What was so you went to Baton Rouge to get school clothes. What was school like?
It was me and school didn't get along a lot of times.
All right.
It was mainly me, I guess. But I did all right. I like to hunt and fish. Now listen to this. Now I bring a gun to school, a shotgun,
Yeah.
and 2 or 3 boxes of shells.
Yep.
My bus driver and my grandpa were good friends, and my grandpa was good friends with the principal.
Gotcha.
So I would bring my shotgun on the bus, bring it in the office, put it up, and that evening I'd get it and walk back through the woods. Through the woods from my house to the school was probably 2.5, 3 miles through the woods. So on the way back home, I'd squirrel hunt, rabbit hunt.
On the way back home.
So all winter I'd brought a shotgun to school. And back then you never thought about shooting nobody or nothing,
No.
Every boy in my classroom had a pocket knife. I remember walking up front to the trash can in school and sharpening your pencil with a knife. That's just the way we did things. And nobody, I'll tell you, I don't ever remember not one person being cut with a knife. None.
Right.
But we fought. We had fights all the time, but you just never dreamed of pulling out a knife.
Yeah, you never went to that next level. That was an honor system of sorts.
Yeah. Well, we knew we were scared of our parents.
Right.
We were scared to death of our parents. You knew what they would do. That's like, we got off, me and my good friend back then, we missed the bus on purpose. And so we were sneaking home. We were walking home, and his grandpa passed us, and his grandpa tore our butt up. And then he went home and told my mama, and then my mama tore us up again. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Things have changed a lot.
They have changed tremendously. Bruce, could you tell me, let's just transition a little bit and talk about some deer hunting.
Oh, yeah.
You clearly hunt a lot, or you used to anyway. And
oh, yeah, I still try to hunt a lot.
Okay.
I slowed down about 14 years ago, okay, when we got that first grandbaby.
Yep.
That slowed me down. But before that, if it was the deer season, Bruce was in the stand every day. Never missed a day.
Gotcha.
And I just love to hunt. I mean, I like to track a deer down in that swamp, hunt him in that swamp, figure out what he is, how big he is, and all that, hunt him down, see him, and then take him out. It's just something I love to do.
Are those techniques?
If he's big enough.
Okay. So if he's big enough. Okay, so let's break that down a little bit. Are the techniques that you used back then still apply today?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
And I catch certain days, I get up and I go, I like to stalk deer. I get my binoculars, and I get in that swamp, and I walk maybe 8, 10, 12 steps, something like that, and I stop.
Okay.
And I take my binoculars and just scan the area real good. Usually I got a good north wind blowing pretty strong, And on days like that, like with a good north wind and drizzling rain, that's when I like to go hunt.
Okay.
You catch that deer slipping,
so
with a good wind.
Got a north wind
and,
coming
I like to stalk them down and shoot them like that.
You'll have a north wind in your face, and you're coming up from the south, so that you're staying downwind.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
And you're taking a step-by-step approach with binoculars and looking for movement, it sounds like.
Yeah. So I hug trees and stuff, stay close to trees so nothing could see me. And I walk real slow. And you go 10, 12 steps, and then you stop and just scan the air real good. A lot of times people pass up deer because if deer see you, a lot of times they won't move. A deer just lay there.
Oh, absolutely. Well, some of their best defense is not moving at all.
Yeah, that's it. Not moving at all, and that's why you got to take 8, 10, 12, 15 steps. You stop, lean against a tree, get your binoculars, and just look real good, look close, look far off, look all over. And I just love to hunt like that. It's a good challenge, good challenge hunt.
Right.
And if you see something good, you take it out. If it ain't big enough. See, we back in the day, I would kill 4 to 5 big bucks a year. Nothing under. We had this lease down there in the swamp, and I never killed nothing under an 8-point in 25 years.
Really? Okay.
Big 8s. Heavy. Light 8. Not too heavy. I just let that go.
Right.
Because you can't shoot everything you see every day. If you do, you have your limit in 5 days, and then what you do.
Right.
But to me, the hunt was the fun part. Once you shot something, it was over. You had to start over.
How many deer were you allowed each season?
I think 5 or 6.
Okay. So
6. I think it was 6. And we shoot 5. We shoot at least 5 a year, 5 or 6 deer a year. Put them up in the freezer. Yeah, we only kill, and as the kids start, getting bigger and leaving and stuff, I kind of slowed down on it. I wouldn't shoot as many deer.
Gotcha.
Because we just didn't need them back then, Now, when I was coming up, we didn't really have a deer season. If Grandma said you needed meat, she just wouldn't shot a deer.
I see.
It
was a sustenance thing. It was to put food on the table.
Yeah, but it did, and you never would shoot 2 or 3 or not, even though they'd be standing there. But I seen time, we'd go shoot. Grandma said there's no meat in the freezer, or she'd just say we need some meat. We kind of knew what she meant.
Gotcha.
And we'd either go at night or in daytime. It didn't matter. Shoot a deer, come back and skin it, and she would cut it up and bring it around to the neighbors, give the old people meat and stuff like that.
Right.
It's just the way it was done.
Gotcha.
And then a couple of weeks later, all of a sudden somebody would bring some meat to our house. It's just the way things were done back then.
Right.
The game warden and wildlife fishery, they knew what was going on. But they also knew we wasn't going out there and shooting everything and just wiping the deer out.
Gotcha.
We was actually doing it to eat.
Right. Could you describe in detail for somebody that's never been there that may never hunt there? Can you describe what the landscape was like and what the swamp was like that you're hunting in?
Swamp is just totally different. I mean, everybody I ever took from anywhere up north, we get a lot of people down here, and I bring them, and they look at that. It's just no good. They don't think nothing can survive in that swamp. And I tell them, we deer hunt. How you deer hunt? Where, they just cannot fathom that a deer could even live in this kind of environment. But it's funny. I love bringing people down in that swamp. We got miles and miles of runs on our old lease, and it used to be trapping. We used to do a lot of trapping until the fur business went out.
Yeah.
And but we would trap and deer hunt back there in the swamp. It's just.
Is it as a swamp would be described? Meaning that is it wet and deep water and spots of land?
Wet, deep mud, grass. It's swamp. It's just we got trees in our swamp. So you got trees. You got big potholes. We call them potholes, big holes, duck holes. And you go around the duck holes, you don't never go through the middle of them.
Okay.
Because you will go over your head.
Okay.
And it's hard to explain it. It's just different. And we raised in it, you know. When you raised it, back then we didn't have boots. All we had was tennis shoes, if we had them. Most of the time we'd have them. My grandpa would give me a pair of hip boots, and we couldn't afford no hip boots, but Grandpa had them, and he'd wear them old. I'll never forget the name of these things. Red Ball.
Right.
Red Ball was the name of the hip boots, and he handed them down to me. He'd probably have them 7, 8 years, and it was nothing but patches, them old hot patches. I remember putting them old patches on them boots and lighting them. You'd light them with a fire.
Yeah.
And then they burn that melt rubber on the boot.
Yeah.
And years later, I'm thinking about, why in the world? Because they weighed like 100 pounds. You didn't really have good rubber back then,
Right. Huh.
And you'd just be plumb wore out when you wore the boots. So we'd rather, if we was taking dogs out, running the dogs and stuff, if I was chasing dogs, I'd rather be in tennis shoes. Because the boots, you get wet and get cold, but the boots weighed extra 100 pounds, seemed like.
Right. Right. I can see how tennis shoes might be an advantage in that particular aspect.
Oh, yeah.
Now, as far as...
I can remember many times riding back in that boat and just shaking and shivering.
Right. That's funny. So what are the trees like? What are they? Do they grow very tall? They kind of scrub trees? What type of trees?
You have a little bit
about?
of everything in the swamp. You have a little scrub stuff, the short stuff. You got elm trees, oak trees, some places. Mostly cypress, gum trees, little short bushes all over the place. We call them myrtle bushes. And they're probably about 6 foot tall, 6 to 8 foot tall, and grow pretty bushy. Deer like to eat on them. It's just hundreds of different kinds of bushes and trees and stuff down there in the swamp. And some trees, like the willow trees and the gum trees, live willow trees and dead gum trees, they got what they call an oyster mushroom that grow on it. We used to pick a lot of mushrooms and eat them.
Yeah. Oh, oyster mushrooms are fantastic.
Oh, yeah, I love them.
Yeah.
I love them. Me and my youngest daughter, we go to swamp camp every Friday, and I'd pick her up when she got off school. We'd go by the grocery store, and she was 12, 13 years old. Anywhere from 10 to 12, 13, something like that. I don't remember. But we would go in the swamp. Well, first we'd stop at the grocery store. We'd buy a thing of fish fry, a gallon of oil, and a 10-pound bag of potatoes. And we'd hit the swamp. And I had a camp way back there. And we'd go to that camp. But we'd get up at night, we'd go frogging, pick some mushrooms. We'd go out to the river, and we had a big headlight. We'd shine it down in the shallow water. We'd dip up 8, 10 catfish, little catfish, 10, 11 inches. Skin them up. And we'd go back and have French fries and frog legs and oyster mushrooms. And, oh, boy, you talk about good.
Sounds delicious.
And that's what we did. Me and her did that all the time. We never would bring food. We would just go, just go around, ride, and catch stuff. Sometimes, we might eat a nutria or a coon or no telling what back there,
Right.
Birds, the cranes. We'd eat the old cranes and egrets. They got what they call a bay cross, and it's illegal to eat them now or to shoot them, but we used to eat a lot of them. Coming up when we was kids, we'd shoot them and de-breast them, and you take a hammer and pound that breast out, them little, I forget what kind of hammers you call them, little meat hammers.
Sure, yeah.
You pound that out flat and roll it in flour and fry it, and then I'd make it like a white gravy to put on it, and you talk about good. Haven't ate none of them in a long time.
I'm seeing a recurring theme here, Bruce. Food is important to you.
Food is, and I just realized that, it's and me and my wife, when we're cooking breakfast, we're talking about lunch, what we're going to eat for lunch.
Right.
And that's just the way we was raised,
Right.
And if opportunity come up, that's what we ate, I've never worried about going hungry, never have been hungry. that's how we say we're hungry, but we've never went without eating.
Right.
And been really fortunate to always be able to catch a fish or shoot something or catch something to eat, you know.
Yeah.
I guess somebody told me it goes back to the caveman deal, where I'm worried about food all the time. And I do. I think about food all the time. I trap wild hogs. You know, actually we got 1, 2, 3, almost 4. We got 4 freezers, and most of them are full of meat.
Wow. Okay. So there's no shortage of meat on the Mitchell household.
Oh, no. We always got meat. Well, we always fishing, we hunting, trap, you know. It's always something, you know. And we just stay ahead of it. You know, I eat one freezer out, and by the time I get that one freezer about cleaned out, I see a hog or something like that, we'll trap it or shoot it, whatever. I butcher it. We butcher the hog, and next thing you know, we done filled another freezer back up.
Wow.
So we always got plenty to eat. I laugh about this story. I had a buddy from California, and he's a big old guy, and he's been coming gator hunting with me for 20-something years. Well, he was down here one time, and a hurricane was coming, and he had about 5 or 6 friends with him that come down here from California, and they were all scrambling, trying to get plane tickets, and they was trying to rent cars enough to drive to Texas to get a plane from Texas to California. And old Duffy was kind of laid back there. I said, "What the heck?" I said, "Duffy, you ain't gonna try to get you no plane ticket or try to get out of here?" He said, "Bruce," he said, "that electricity goes out." He said, "I know y'all ain't gonna waste all this food. Y'all gonna cook it." So he stayed because he wanted to eat. He knew we wasn't gonna waste no food.
Right. That's funny. Did you ever hunt from a tree stand while you're down there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got 3. At one time, well, I still got about 40 of them around here. But when I set up on a deer, a lot of time I go check the area out, and I find hookings and scrapes and stuff and good runs in that swamp. I will go around that area. I might set up 8 to 9 stands, 8 to 10 stands sometimes, all around that area. Because these swamp deer are pretty slick. If they get a wind of you or any notion that you're there, that's it, they gone. And so I'd always set up 8, 10 stands all the way around where I'm hunting at. Then I'd leave the area for about a week. Then I'd come back. And then, depending on which way the wind blowing and all that, is you know, which stand I have to get in. But usually when you got a deer in that swamp, if he catches wind that you're around there, that's it. He's gone. He will not stay.
Okay.
Yeah, swamp deer are different. And we try to bait them with corn and stuff, but they won't eat corn. Swamp deer won't eat corn. They just don't know what it is. They've never been around it.
Right. So how do you, other than the stock method, other than sitting and waiting, is there anything else or any other tactics or strategies that you use for hunting the swamp deer that you think makes you more successful than the next guy?
Patience. You just got to have patience. You got to do your tree time.
Okay.
You got to do some tree time to see. I used to take pictures. I let some boys in my club one time, and I used to take pictures and then get them developed and bring them back. Well, I quit doing it because they would go hunt the deer and shoot them. You know, I'd tell what stand I was on or where I was at, something like that. But I used to like to take a lot of pictures of deer. But like I said, I started telling them boys, you know, because I'd let a 7-point or 8-point walk. There was a little bitty rack, you know, a little skinny rack. I said, well, he's going to be good in a couple of years, you know. And I'd let him go. But you just got to do your tree time. Nowadays, a lot of people use the cameras instead of doing tree time. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is, I guess that's all right, too. But I like to sit in that tree.
Okay.
It's just something that ain't nothing like it, you know, sitting in that tree. And in that swamp, you hear that bloop, 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 that deer walking in that water, you know.
Okay.
And you might hear it 300 yards off. And
Gotcha. So
something about sitting in that tree.
So the water, in a sense, is surrounding you in different spots. You almost have to walk through water to get to your locations of hunting. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, you got to go through water. There's no way around it.
Okay. All right. So it's just kind of part of the gig. And you use that to your advantage to hear deer moving, much like we might hear deer moving in very dry conditions, moving through the woods over leaves or something like fallen leaves, for example.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the swamp deer or something, I've seen, I've had them walk right on, and they ain't going to put their head out in the open. These swamp deer will stay in the thick. They're going to be in the thick stuff. And very seldom you shoot a deer over 30 yards in the swamp. Very seldom. I've shot deer 10 foot, and I've seen deer that once he passes your stand, there's no more shots. When you're hunting some of these big bucks I used to hunt, once they stay in the thick stuff. I mean the thick. So you would have to get in there. I'd be like 7-8 foot up in the tree, not too high at all, and that deer walk under you, and they lean their head back, and you can't even see their when they lean their head back. They kind of tuck their horns on their neck, and you can't really see them good. And I've had them walk by me like that, then pick up his head, and I notice it's a big buck, and it's too late to shoot him.
Gotcha.
Too late to shoot them.
So there's the thick stuff where they seem to hang out, which is not uncommon for big mature bucks. They tend to go to the thicker spots for coverage and cover. And it sounds like you have to figure out where they're going to go, but you got to find out exactly where they're going to go, and you got to you just got to be there when he's slipping, when he's chasing them females. Okay, right.
That's when you go.
Right. That makes sense. Is the ground fairly flat where you're hunting? I would imagine it would need to be in order to be a swampy type area.
It's flat, but they got hills all over, like what we call stump hills. When your trees and stuff grow, usually mud, hangs on to it and stuff like that. So you got little hills all over. It's different. It's just you got like a bush. If you got a bush, there might be a 3-foot hill around it. Okay. And then from there on, there's water everywhere. And then 10 foot from there be another bush, another hill.
Okay. And,
it's just, and them deer can just slip through that stuff and never make a sound. Never make a sound. And then the next deer, you're hearing 300 yards coming. It's crazy how they do.
So how do you, as a person that's been in these woods a million times, decide where to set up on a tree stand or where to place your stand? How do you decide where that spot's going to be?
Well, I like to ride around first. Like I said, we had miles and miles of runs. I'd ride around first in my Go Devil.
Okay.
With a boat motor, in the swamp. This is a boat that goes through the swamp. I'd ride around and find hookings and trails and stuff like that where deer are going. And once I found that, then I'd get my Peeve, a little boat, and I'd just go around, circle in it, and if usually you got a hook line, what we call, where they're scraping, rubbing on the trees and stuff.
Sure, yeah, right, yep.
And we'll follow that. And once we find out it's a consistent run going through there, he's marking his territory. Then I'll try to set up, different stands in different locations, depending on where it's going. So I can come in from different ways to set up. If they got a south wind blowing, I want to come in from a different angle on it. To make sure it don't smell me. Because if they smell you, that's it. It's over.
Okay. So I think I'm starting to get the picture of what this looks like and your strategy. So you're actually using a boat to get around in the swamp, a bigger boat. And then we
have what we call runs cut. We cut runs all through the swamp.
Okay, so you're doing a lot of cutting through the swamp, and you're using a boat to get around, and a little boat to get to certain areas. Yeah. You're trying to find out where the bucks are, and then you set up in spots downwind, and it sounds like with the boats you can get in from multiple ways into the stand that you decide based off.
But we take the boat in so far.
Right.
You take the big boat, your little boat, you Go Devil in so far, and then we usually carry a Peeve in our big boat, and then just push it over, and then we call it push pull, and we cut two sticks, probably about 5 foot long, and we stand up in these boats and push them with the sticks. You got one in each end.
Gotcha.
And we push these boats around.
That's fascinating. That's different than any other place in the country on how to do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know of no other place that has P-rows.
Definitely not. And to hunt deer from using your primary source of locomotion to get there is a boat. That in itself is very unique.
Yeah. And you use the P-row, and then you know, a lot of time you gotta. What I see, like I said, we had runs cut through that. You take your chainsaw. Yep. And you cut your runs. You know, we got what we call a bull tongue. Okay, this grass it's when the water goes down, tide goes out, you can walk on this stuff, and then when it comes up, you know it's over it. But it's pretty firm. So what you do, you cut it. It's just a bunch of roots and stuff all together, but it's easy to cut with a shovel or a chainsaw. And what we'd do, we'd cut it with a chainsaw. Just take the chainsaw and run about 50, 60 foot, come back, go right beside it, maybe a foot, just cut like 4 lines.
Okay.
And then cut side, you know, like a checkerboard, and then you just pop them out like little plugs.
Yep.
Okay. And once you got them popped out, it'd only be about 6 to 8 inches deep. And then you run your boats through there, your Go Devil boats, and the props would chew it up the rest of the way.
Gotcha. Okay. And that allows you to move deeper into the swamp where you're scouting.
Yeah.
Scouting.
And we would cut runs most of the year round. But when we were hunting, we didn't really, during the winter months, we didn't really cut a lot of runs.
Okay.
We would use the runs to hunt and trap.
Gotcha.
We'd make like trap runs, be miles and miles of trap runs, you know, because we used to catch 400 to 500, 600 animals a day.
Gotcha. So you're like making boat paths through the swamp.
Yeah, that's all it is, pass through the boat.
Gotcha.
That boat could go by.
Gotcha.
And we did that mainly for the trapping.
Right.
But once we started deer hunting, because when we were trapping, we didn't really deer hunt. Because if you shoot a deer while you're trapping, it messes you up. It just messes the whole day up.
Okay.
But once in a while we'd shoot a deer while we was trapping, but most of the time we wouldn't do it because it just, while you're trapping, you know, you're skinning animals and all that, and it would just throw something in, it mess your whole day up if you shot a deer.
Gotcha.
So we just never shot deer while we was trapping.
Gotcha. All right. Very, very fascinating. It's a whole different world down there from what we
definitely a different world.
It's fascinating. What about the gators? Do you ever bump into alligators that mess up your day?
Every day. Well, I've had them chase me through the swamp, even in the wintertime. That's when they're bad. A lot of these gators hibernate, and instead of, most people think to dig a hole and get in it. Well, they do that. Plus, these gators around here, they'll put their nose just on a little hill or something and stay there. It looks like a potato floating. And boy, you bump that thing, they just come, when they come out of it, they come out chomping. They trying to chew you up. And you'll step on one of them or bump him or something like that when you going through that swamp in the winter months. Like I say, he's sleeping, he's hibernating.
Right.
And when you wake him up, he goes to chewing. And he just, nothing but teeth and mouth. He just chomp, 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 trying to eat you. You know, he's just trying to save himself, all he's doing.
Right.
But he'll scare the fire out of you.
Now, that's something I've never had to deal with. I'll admit that.
Well, you walking real slow, you stalking, you know, you being real quiet, you looking through your binoculars, and you step on a gator, and all of a sudden the water just explodes. And
right.
It's just a freaky feeling.
I bet.
And that's when you learn your water skills. You learn how to walk on water.
I bet you do. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have problems with like black bear that I sometimes have stepped on or close to it, but because they'll be down a little hole trying to hide from everybody, but not gators. That's a whole different ball of wax.
Well, bear's about the same thing, I guess. What about a bear? When you wake it up, does it just come charging, or does it slowly get up? Or
well, I haven't stepped on a bunch of them, but the ones that I have, usually first reaction is just to get out of the area that they're in, and then they'll look around, assess the situation, and usually head the other way. Yeah.
Well, that's what a gator will usually do, but when you first step on him, he don't know what it is, I guess. He thinks it's something fixing to eat him.
Sure. Yeah, I would imagine that if I actually stepped directly on the black bear, that might be a different scenario. But, these are just scenarios where I'm coming very close, within a couple feet of their little impression den in the earth, and you feel the earth move, and you see the earth move underneath your feet, and you're like, I'm not sure what's going on, and then all of a sudden a bear pops out the other side, 3 feet away. So,
yeah, that could be kind of scary. I seen one time in my farm was back there, and he said, "What is that?" I said, "I don't know." He had a stick, his folding stick. He was sitting down in the pea row, and he took it and poked it. He said, "Kind of looked like a potato." By the time he hit it, and the water just exploded. it was about 11-foot gator.
Right. That's funny.
Yeah.
Bruce, do you have
it was funny that day. That's for sure.
Do you prefer to hunt with a gun or a bow?
I like bow hunting, but I hurt my shoulder fly fishing, I guess about 12 years ago.
Okay.
And, it's probably 12 years ago. And so I haven't been bow hunting last 10 or 12 years. Okay. I had 5 or 6 bows, and I had some Dartons, Easterns, Bear, I had all kind of bows. And anyway, I was at Walmart one night, and they had some young boys there. Me and my wife was at Walmart, and we was looking there, and the young boys were standing there looking at the bow and arrows. And they said, "Boy, if I can ever save enough money, I'm gonna buy one of these. I'm gonna hunt with that." So I talked to them boys, and I said, I'm gonna say 10, 12 years ago, probably about 12 years ago. I said, "Y'all's parents around here?" And they said, "Yeah, they're in the store." I said, "Why don't you go get them?" I said, "I got 5 or 6 bow and arrows at my house. Good, high quality stuff." I said, "I won't give it to y'all boys." And boy, they was freaking out. They thought I was joking. They didn't know what to say. But they all went and got their parents. And I talked to the parents. I said, "Look, I hurt my shoulder a couple of years ago fly fishing, and I can't pull these bows back no more." I said, and they've been sitting in my gun room for I don't know how long. I said, I'm just thinking after I've seen these boys here, and they worrying about, trying to save a few dollars to get a bow. I said, I think I'd just like to give it to them and let them things be hunting again. Let them bows be hunting again. That's what they're for. And every once in a while, I see one of them boys in town to this day, and they still got their bows, and they thank me for it every time they see me.
Gotcha. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite food dish that you prefer over anything else?
Not really. We got so much good food here. I don't have really one dish.
Okay.
No, I can't. One dish. I love me some catfish now.
Okay.
But fried catfish, I love that. That's one of my favorites. But we just got so much to eat down here.
Okay.
So much to eat.
To pick a favorite would be a tragedy, in other words.
Yeah, it's about like a lot of people ask me, "What's your favorite restaurant?" Well, down here we got so many good restaurants nowadays. You just can't have a favorite. It's your favorite that night, but the next night you go to the next restaurant, and that'll be your favorite. We got some real good restaurants.
Gotcha. Very, very cool. Well, Bruce, let's transition over a memorable deer hunt. I'd asked you to think of a deer hunt you've been on, and wanted to know if you could take us on a little deer trip with you that you might be able to slow down some intricate details and let us know how it all went.
I got several of them. I'm going to tell you about one. My buddy, we went down to the swamp right down here. We're going to run in and shoot a deer that evening, okay?
Yeah.
When he gets down there, okay, he's got a 16-gauge shotgun and 20-gauge shells, okay? So everybody else got 12-gauge, so he gets mad he can't hunt, so he starts drinking beer. Now, this is a true story. He started drinking beer, and anyway, we go back and start hunting, and we jumped a deer, and we hollered at him and said, "Charlie, it's coming your way." He said, "I ain't got no gun." He had what's the big old beers? Quart bottle beers. I don't know what you call them. A 30-ounce, 32-ounce beer bottle, the big ones.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, that deer come running by him. He swung and hit that deer in the head. It was a little spike, and he killed that deer, knocked it down on the ground, and cut his throat. Sure did. Killed it with a beer bottle.
Killed it?
And that was a big
Wow.
laugh for a long time.
Wow.
But we've had some crazy hunts, you know. Crazy things happen. I had an uncle that was this is one of my favorite ones here. My uncle, well, my wife's uncle, is left-handed, okay? So I was at a pawn shop one time, and he had just started hunting. He hadn't been hunting, but I think this was his second year hunting. And anyway, I seen this at the pawn shop, a left-handed shotgun. So I bought it for him. And like I say, Uncle just started hunting. He didn't know too much about hunting. I said, you need to get some different buckshots and pattern that gun. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, you got to pattern and see which one shoots the best. He said, you think this buckshot, any buckshot? I said, well, not necessarily, you know. You might need double out or whatever, you know. I said, go in my gun room and get 4 or 5 different kind of buckshots and, you know, bring them out here and shoot them. So he did that, and I think it was double buck that shot good in that gun. So a couple of days later, we went hunting. We was back there. The water come up a little bit. Well, we look over there. Uncle Junior's in a tree. He shoots. Well, about 30 minutes later, he shoots again. About 30 minutes later, he shoots again. Well, we was talking. We finally it got dark. We went over there to see about dark. I said, let's go see what he's shooting at. So we come up on him. I said, oh, what'd you do? He said, man, I'm going to throw this damn gun away. It ain't no good. I said, what do you mean? He said, I shot that deer over here. He said, he fell down. He kicked a little bit. He said, I watched him. He never did move. So a few minutes later, I looked. He's over there to the right of me. So I shot him. He fell down. He kicked a little bit. He said, I watched him about 20 minutes. He never moved. So I took my eyes off of him. Next thing I do, I look up. He said, he's standing over here. So I shot him again. Come to find out, Uncle Junior shot 3 deer, 3 8-points, one evening.
Wow.
And didn't even think he killed none of them.
It seems like that might be a possible scenario with the number of deer that you have in your area. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, he killed three.
Right.
3 in one evening.
Wow.
And thought he missed them all.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Very cool. Well, Bruce, I have 10 rapid-fire questions for you. And
okay.
I didn't prepare you for these, so these are just kind of off the cuff, and they're better if you don't know what they are because they're more opinionated type things.
Okay.
All right. So if you're ready, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
All right. What's your number one hunting tip of all time?
Be patient.
Very nice. We all have these things that we like to hunt with. Usually it's a device. Maybe it's a good luck charm. Maybe it's actually something that makes you better. If we leave it in the truck or at home, it drives us crazy. What's that one thing for you?
Oh, I'd have to say my knife. I can't go without my knife. I got to have a knife.
I can see that.
It will drive me nuts if I don't have it, no matter where I'm at or what I'm doing, actually.
Okay.
But I got to have a knife.
Got to have a knife on you. Love. I appreciate that one very much so. What's your biggest pet peeve in life?
I really don't have a lot of stuff. I'm trying to think of something. The main thing, my biggest thing would probably be yield signs. They need to just quit making them. Because nobody attention to them, you know? That would be probably, you know, the biggest thing I ever worry about, the yield sign.
Just a waste of time to make those, yeah. Okay. I'm with you. That's hilarious.
Just quit making the damn thing.
Right. So how old are you today, Bruce?
I'm 57 years old. Made 57 last week.
57. Knowing what you know today about life, what would you tell the 25-year-old Bruce Mitchell?
Oh, boy, if I could start over again. I don't know, you know. I don't know. I had some ups and downs, but it's taught me so much. You know, me and my wife been married for 37 years, you know. That's a long time. Most people don't make it that long. And we met when she was 13 and I was 15. If I knew what I knew now, back then I would probably laid off the bottle a little bit.
Okay.
But that's probably about it, though.
That's about it.
You know?
Okay. All right. Very good. All right, Bruce, you're at a hunting convention somewhere in the world, and a stranger comes up to you and asks you what you do for a living. What do you say?
I live for a living. really do. We try to live life to the fullest. I do something fun every day. Everybody's got to die, but not everybody will live. And I say, and we want. I want to live. I want to live for the moment. Live. We do stuff. Me and my wife do a lot of stuff together that most people won't even think about doing. And I just like to live life.
Gotcha. That's a great answer. That's a fantastic answer. All right, here's an easy one. What'd you have for breakfast this morning?
Ooh, you think that easy? Let's see. Oh, well, no, that was yesterday. Oh, no, I know what I had. We went outside. I got an outdoor kitchen, okay?
Yep.
So we go out there to the kitchen, and me and my wife this morning, I took some Jimmy Dean sausage, or some sausage I think I made myself, I'm not sure. But we took this sausage, we cooked it on the grill. I chopped it up, dumped about 6 eggs on top of it, scrambled them, and put some cheese in it. And we had some toast we put on the Blackstone grill.
Nice.
Griddle. And that's what we have for breakfast.
I really need to come hang out with you, Bruce. It sounds like a fun place just to hang out and do food. I live in a house.
Oh, we're going to eat. We're definitely going to eat.
I would love hanging out with you down there, Mike, because my wife is a chef and I am a foodie through and through. And I just
cool.
I love experiencing stuff like that.
I just love food, and we so lucky. Me and my wife, we get to travel a lot. We go do different events and stuff like that. And I like to go see what the other people's eating.
Right, right. So do I. It's extremely interesting.
Yeah, and everywhere, even here in Louisiana, every 20 miles you go, it's different.
Right.
Different people cook. It's kind of like a gumbo. There's no two people in the world cook a gumbo alike. So every 10 miles you go, it's something different.
Right.
And I just love to do that. I love to go in somebody's town and see what they do, see what they eat, see how they catch it. I went on a bear hunting last year in Canada, New Brunswick area, and we had a ball up there just going around. We went up, and this guy said, "See them little fish?" I see them darting around, so we started catching them.
Yep.
And he said, "We're going to eat these." And then, we use stuff like that for bait. It's like 3 inch, but you're talking about good.
Yeah.
Whoo, they were good to eat.
Was it smelt or something like that?
No, it was in these little bitty streams. We was in New Brunswick area.
Yeah.
Roddy Brook. And I went bear hunting up there, shot me a nice bear. And I think I made sausage out of the whole bear. I brought it back home.
Yep.
I wouldn't go to Canada. These people been wanting me to come up there for years and hunt. And finally I told them last year, I said, "Look, I'm not going hunting, just shoot something." I said, "When I shoot something, I want to bring the meat home and eat it." And they said, "Well, you could do that." I said, "I thought you couldn't bring meat from Canada."
Right.
He said, "No, you can bring meat from Canada." He said, "That's what the U.S. people tell you. You can't bring the U.S. guide bear hunters tell you that, so you won't go hunt." I said, "Oh." So I wound up bringing two whole bears. I deboned them and brought them all back. Got them home. We cooked them all different kind of ways, and I made a lot of sausage with it.
Yep.
And it was pretty good. All my friends like it, and I like it.
No kidding. Excellent. That's not far from where I live, actually. It's just hop, skip, and a jump. Good day and a half ride for me.
Okay, really cool.
Yep.
You know where Roddy Brook's at?
I do not, but I'm gonna look that up.
Oh yeah, this friend of mine up there now is a good friend. Been a good friend for several years. He got about 85,000 acres. He hunts on up there.
Oh wow, that's excellent. All right.
Yeah, we've seen tons of bears. Seeing them and hunting them is two different things.
Yes.
You think, I'm used to these bears around Cherokee, North Carolina, and a few places like that in the Smoky Mountains,
right.
And they kind of walk up to you. But because they've never been hunted there.
Right.
But I tell you what, you get on 85,000 acres, and that bear see you anywhere or smell you, you're not going to get him. Bear hunting's pretty tough.
Right. Yep. Very, very interesting. It's a whole different ballgame up there. All right, back to the 10 rapid-fire questions.
I forgot about that.
Right. You get your own billboard on the side of a highway. You can say anything you want it to say. It's a blank canvas. What would you put on it?
Ooh. Send Bruce $1.
Some versus a dollar. I like it. All right. If I say the word successful to you, who's the first person that pops into your head and why?
Who? I would say my father-in-law.
Okay.
He's got Alzheimer's now. He's kind of out of it, but he built a big business, total business, out of nothing. They started out when he started working when he was like 5 years old. He's 80 something now, and he's out. He has Alzheimer's, But I've been working with him my whole life, basically. Like I said, when me and Janet met, she was 13, I was 15, and me and him he hunted and fished and did everything. So we was just pretty tight coming up,
Gotcha.
And he worked, and he and still working into us, That's why we still work so hard. He just worked his butt off, never, had fun all the time. We did lots of hunting and stuff like that, fishing, going to the camp. But work was the main, he grew up in a depression, so things were a little different,
Right, definitely.
And he never believed in wasting nothing, but we always believed in working a lot.
Right. Very cool. Bruce, what's a typical day in your life look like?
Well, I get up at 3 o'clock every morning.
Okay.
2:30 and 3 o'clock, I wake up, and I go make coffee. And I got to drink my coffee. I like good, strong coffee. Nowadays, I come in here. When I get up 3 o'clock in the morning, I get up and I get my coffee, and I come sit in here by a computer. I got one of them, I'm trying to think, laptop computers. Thing turn it on, and I try to answer some of my Facebook questions and stuff.
Yeah.
Used to, I'd get up and go to work, I had an alligator and turtle farm, and I would get up and used to go up there and prep my coolers and everything, get it, because we butchered turtles. We'd butcher anywhere from 300 to 350,000 pounds of meat a year, turtle meat. And we would raise baby turtles. We raised over 1 million baby turtles a year for export, China, Japan, France, England, just all over the world. And then we had the alligator business. We usually butchered close to 5,000 to 6,000 gators a year. And, we sold the hides all overseas. And the meat was sold all over the country, all over the world, actually. And we shipped turtles all over, and we bought probably close to 2 million turtles a year from smaller farms and shipped. And that's how we used to work every day. But now my life has changed so much, I'm not on the farm no more. We still own it, but it's a lot of crazy stuff happening, and with family. But we own the farm. We'll get it back one day. But right now, I actually do a lot of Facebook stuff and a lot of hunting and fishing and just whatever it takes. Most people think I don't got a job, so they call me, want me to come help them do this or that. We stay real. I'd say more busy now than I did when I had a job, full-time job, you know what I mean? So it's crazy.
Gotcha. Very nice. All right, and final question. What's a typical deer hunting day in your life look like?
Well, I like to be there early. I'm one of them that I want to be on my stand an hour and a half before daylight gets there. I want to be on my stand and ready. And same in the evening. I've had deer come by me at dark, and a lot of time when I'm on that stand, I will, if the deers are around that area, I won't get down for 2 hours after dark. I want to make sure them deer leave out, if I haven't seen them. Because once you spook them, I believe that's it. Most of the time they won't come back. A good deer, a little buck or something like that, or a little doe will come back. But a good deer, once they know something's in that area, they're not coming back. But I usually start out early, and real early in the morning, I like to get in my stand. I say the day before, I usually set my stand up, or I know where I'm going to go, And when I get to the swamp that morning, I check my wind and all that, and then I figure out where I'm going to go from there and set my stand up. And I just like to be there. I don't like to make a lot of noise. you know.
Right.
I like to get there so I could take my time, go real slow, not get in no hurry, set your stand up where you don't make no noise. And to me, that's your best hunting time when everything goes right.
Gotcha. Very, very cool. Bruce, this has been a fantastic journey with you. Thank you so much for letting us into your world and giving us a highlight of what it's like to live where you live and hunt where you live and eat where you live. And you do it so well, and you do it so well on social media. And speaking of social media, could you tell us where to find you if we're looking to hang out with you for an evening and maybe see what you're cooking?
Go to my Facebook page. I got an email, Gmail, BruceAlligatorMan, gmail.com. I'm trying to figure this out. And I got a web page, Bruce the Alligator Man, and I got my Facebook page. That's the main one I hang out on. It's Bruce Mitchell, and just look me up on my Facebook. I do a lot of lives. We've been doing a lot of media stuff with the Facebook, just different things, advertise different things. But people send me lots of stuff, okay? And I try it out. If I like it and it works good, I sell something for them, you know, or do like ads and stuff like that on Facebook. But it only got to be good stuff. You know what I mean? Well, it's got to be something I like. And so far, it's been working out good. All my fans know me. I'm not going to lie to them. I'm not going to sell them or tell them this seasoning is real good if it tastes like crap. You know what I mean?
Right.
So people trust me, and that's why I got to keep it. You know, you got to keep it that way. Because I'm looking right now. I just turned on this computer. I'm reaching 5.1 million people this week. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
You know what I mean? So I got to be true to myself. I got to be me. And you know, and that's what I told swamp people when they first come here. You know, they said, your life's good. You're going to change. Everything's going to change. I said, nope. I said, if I got to change, I quit.
Right.
They said, what do you mean? I said, I'm not going to change. I am me, and that's who I'm always going to be. And you know, I wouldn't care, you know, if I won the big lottery and had $20 million a day to blow. Well, the first thing I'd blow it on would be a pile of swampland, and I'd move me a cabin right in the middle of it. You know, that's just the way I am.
Right. That's excellent. Very cool. Well, Bruce, this has been an honor and pleasure, and I really enjoyed listening to you tell us about your life and all the, quite frankly, it just sounds like you're a happy guy that just is enjoying life.
Yes, that's it. You got to live life. You got to live it. Like I told you a while ago, everybody got to die, but not everybody will live. You know what I mean? So you got to live life to the fullest, because you never know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Gotcha.
You never know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Well, Bruce is a very authentic person, and I appreciate Bruce coming on the show and kind of getting inside a little bit deeper into what his life is like and explaining to us all the things that he does in the swamps of Louisiana. And of course, his life is so colorful that the documentary people from the History Channel went to Bruce and asked him to be on this show that turned into Swamp People. And if you want to check out Bruce, you can go to Facebook and just type in Bruce Mitchell, and you'll be able to tune into what he's making for dinner just about every night, plus some of his other adventures that he goes on. Bruce is a good friend, and he has a good heart, and I love that he just loves to live. I mean, that's what he lives every day the way he wants to do it, and has been for years and years. And I like the way he forages off the land, and that he uses game, and as Bruce says, he never goes hungry, and yet grocery shopping isn't really a big deal. They live on the land, they trap, and they hunt. Quite an interesting lifestyle. So, Dusty, do we have a Chubby Tines tip of the week this week?
Yeah, we do, Jay. We actually we do.
All right, what do we got? The Chubby Tines tip of the week is sponsored by Morse's Sporting Goods. Firearms, used bows, used bows, located at 85 Kentucky Falls Road in Hillsborough, New Hampshire. Give Jim a call at 603-464-3444, morsessportinggoods.com. Your dollars go further in New Hampshire. There's no sales tax. Morse's Sporting Goods.
You know, it's getting closer, Jay. No doubt about it. The conditions are going to soon be cooling off. You know, go through and check all your last year's material as far as your hunting clothes, as far as your grunt calls. You know, if you got tree stands laying in the garage, it's time to go through and check bolts, check nuts. Just do a once over of all your equipment so that, you know, not only safety, but you want to be prepared when the day comes. And if you got to order something, you don't want to be a week out and trying to do all this. But if you haven't hung your stands yet and you got them laying out in the garage, take time and go out there and just do a once over. If you got rusty bolts, replace them. You know, a 63-cent stainless steel bolt is not worth your life. So just do equipment check. That's the Chubby Tines tip of the week.
So equipment checks is what you're getting at. I think that's a great idea. I've been thinking more about deer hunting lately than I did in July. I can tell you that. So you're right. It's time to pull out all the gear and go through it and make sure everything still works and that everything is safe. Awesome tip, man.
Yeah, you know, it's just that time of year, Jay. Just go do a once over.
Yep.
Take a half hour and roll your tree stand around the garage floor and just look everything over. Get your bow and look it over. Just instead of going out and shooting, get it out of the case and look it over. Take the time and go through the limbs, go through the arrows and flex them a little bit. Make sure you got no splinters. Just everything that you can prep yourself and prepare yourself before the season starts. You'll be that next step closer to getting in the woods opening day.
Nice. Very, very good tip. Well, that's great, man. Thanks for that tip of the week. That was fantastic. Thank you to Morse's Sporting Goods for sponsoring the Chubby Tines tip of the week. I'd also like to say thank you to all of our sponsors. Without them, this show is not possible. And specifically, I'd like to say thank you to Advanced Takedown Tree Stands, Covert Scouting Cameras, the Horny Buck Seed Company, and once again, Morse's Sporting Goods. I truly believe in each and every product that we're advertising on this show. We've tried them all. We've been to the stores. Each and every one are absolutely high quality, high grade products. And if you're shopping for any one of these types of items, please give our sponsors a shot first. Dusty, where can we find you when you're not hanging out here in the studios with me?
Shoot me an email, dusty@bigbuckregistry.com. You can look me up on Instagram and Twitter @ChasingAntler, Facebook.com/Chubby Tines Outdoors. Jay, where can the people reach out to you when you're not on the mic?
Likewise, you can shoot me an email, jay@bigbuckregistry.com, and you can visit us on Facebook, facebook.com/bigbuckregistry. We're also on Twitter, which is twitter.com/bigbuckregistry. We're also on Instagram, instagram.com/bigbuckregistry, and YouTube, which is youtube.com/bigbuckregistry. On YouTube, you can listen to all of our podcasts in their entirety. As far as videos are concerned, it's a boring video, but the audio content is there, so you can actually listen to our podcast. You can also listen to all of our live shows that we've done on Thursday nights when we do them, and we've gone back and re-interviewed a lot of our previous guests we had on the show just to put a face to a voice, let's put it that way. You can always listen to our show on other places as well, not just YouTube. We're found on iTunes, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, and Blubrry. And if you would like to submit a buck to our page for consideration and be featured on our page in front of 250,000 diehard deer hunting fans, all you have to do is go to bigbuckregistry.com/mybuck, and all of the instructions will be right there. I think that's pretty much everywhere we're at. I think that's a wrap, Dusty.
That's a whole lot of big buck, Jay.
Sure is. I'm Jay Scott.
I'm Dusty Phillips.
And this is the Big Buck Registry's Deer Hunting Podcast. We'll see you next week.
Can't wait.